They always thought my silence was a weakness, but it was the quietest weapon I had. It all came to a head that day, at the ceremony, packed with people. Flags hung stiff in the breeze. The brass band playing sharp and clean, as my brother-in-law Jake was awarded his Navy SEAL pin. He stood there at 27, cocky and loud, acting like he'd written a manual on bravery, even though he'd never seen real war. My wife sat beside me, her hand cold in mine, her father across the aisle, smug as ever, whispering to his golf buddies. That's when I heard it. The whispers. He washed out of training. Yeah, Navy dropout. Married up, I guess. They thought they were being discreet, but they never really were. They thought the suit meant civilian, and the silence meant weakness. I didn't flinch. I never do. Jake strutted up to the stage, medals pinned to his chest, cameras flashing. And then the man who had trained me, who had bled beside me, General Royce, stepped forward. He scanned the crowd and froze, his eyes locking on mine. Silence, Colonel. You're here. 3 words. That was all it took. The ripple spread like wildfire, chairs shifting, heads turning. My father-in-law blinked like he'd just been punched in the middle of a sentence. Jake's smirk faltered. My wife stared straight ahead, but I saw her hands tremble. 10 years earlier, I had met her in a hospital while I was recovering from a shrapnel wound. She was doing volunteer hours for med school. She made me laugh even when I couldn't sit up straight. We married a year later. Her family didn't approve. Soldier, her father scoffed. Could have done better. Still, I was in love. I took the hits, smiled through the dinners, the jabs, the questions. Then I retired quietly. No press, no parade. 20 years of service, classified missions buried. I took a desk job in cybersecurity and faded into civilian life. That's when the whispers started. Jake was training for BUD/S, and her father latched onto him like a golden goose. The perfect son, the real man of the family. Suddenly, I was a forgotten vet, the one who couldn't hack it. And my wife, she let it slide. She stopped correcting them, and then started joining in. You never made it past training, she said one day at brunch, as her mother smiled. I looked at my wife. She stirred her coffee. No denial. That's when something inside me shifted. Not anger, not yet, just cold recognition. Then came the 2 a.m. phone call. A former unit member, his voice tight. Sir, you know your name came up in a podcast I listened to? A man I trained had slipped up, mentioned you, not by name, but enough. One of Jake's SEAL buddies picked it up, posted it in the forum. Someone asked, isn't that guy Jake's brother-in-law? Another replied, no way. That guy's a nobody, a dropout. And my wife, she liked the post. Liked it. I didn't rage. I didn't confront. I planned. First, I called in favors. Reyes Sinclair, men whose scars match mine. I set wheels in motion. Then, I submitted a transfer of declassified commendations for public record through legal channels. Just enough to be verifiable, no more. Next, I bought domain names, jaquatsonseal.com, operationaltruth.com. I had them quietly redirected to a clean site, one that hosted a full FOIA release of my public service record. Then I waited. The ceremony was perfect. The trap already sprung. Royce had confirmed his attendance weeks before. I made sure I was there, front row. When Royce said my rank, everything cracked. Afterward, people avoided eye contact. Jake's handshake line thinned fast. Royce walked straight toward me, hand outstretched. Didn't think I'd see you in this crowd of posers, he said, loud enough for the press to hear. I smiled. Had to make sure your standards hadn't slipped. He laughed, slapped my back, and turned to Jake. You're his brother-in-law? Royce asked. Jake nodded, blinking. Royce just shook his head. Well, big shoes. Then he walked off. Jake stammered something, but I was already moving toward my wife, toward her father, toward the truth. My wife waited until we were alone. You didn't tell me, she hissed. No, I said. I listened. While you lied, she swallowed. For who? She didn't answer. The fallout came fast. Her father tried calling, leaving 4 voicemails, then tried to spin it. We just thought you were modest. I didn't respond. Jake's seal page was bombarded with comments. My FOIA records hit every forum they'd once used to mock me. The contrast was brutal. Jake deleted his accounts within 48 hours. I moved out 3 days later. Quietly. No fight. Left a wedding photo. Took the service dog. Sometimes, vengeance doesn't come with fire. It comes with silence. With truth dropped like a scalpel, not a grenade. They had made a myth of my failure. I gave them the reality of my legacy. And when that general said my name, they realized they'd been sitting beside a storm that chose never to blow. Until now. I never needed their respect. But I made damn sure they'd never forget.